less than 1 year's time, Godzilla and Kong will once again be roaring their ways into cinemas and fans' hearts around the world. Their epic battle in the most recent MonsterVerse movie, Godzilla vs. Kong, was a global hit that finally put some closure on the monster's first face-off way back in the original King Kong vs. Godzilla, with the Big G-Man coming out as the clear winner this time around. With the movie doing well enough to warrant the continuation of the MonsterVerse, we are all not very patiently awaiting the next chapter in our modern Godzilla and Kong story. But what if I told you that at the time of King Kong vs. Godzilla, that a sequel was almost made for that movie that would have raised a ton of eyebrows? And we're going to talk about that deleted Godzilla vs. Kong movie in this video, as well as the story for the film, which would have had the atomic lizard and monkey battling yet again. So make sure to stomp that subscribe button and hit the bell to stay notified for more cool Godzilla videos. And we have some news on the Netflix Gamera series coming real soon, so you won't want to miss that. Let's get to it.
What's up, dude?
Yo! Alright, dude, so I need some good Toho footage to use for my video. Do you guys, like, over there in the UK have any Godzilla movies streaming or anything like that you can get footage for me?
Nah, dude, you'd have to have, like, Netflix Japan in order to watch any of those Godzilla movies without buying a ridiculously priced DVD. Unless, of course, you have Atlas VPN.
Alright, so I could use Netflix Japan or even y'all's UK version with it?
Yeah, dude. And now's a good time to get it because we have a deal going on where Atlas Premium is less than $2 a month and you get an extra 3 months of it for free, and they give you 30 days to return it if it ends up not being for you.
So I'm able to hide my search history and make it to where my activity online can't be tracked?
Yes.
And I can go anywhere online with it?
Yeah, it blocks all potential viruses and it even tells you if anyone's trying to hack your data.
Nice. So I can use it on my phone or tablet too?
Obviously.
Okay, I just looked them up. Looks like they even hook you up with good shopping deals online. Well, dude, I bet some of the residents would even want to take advantage of this big Atlas VPN deal. Link in the description and comments.
Now's the time to do it. Now.
Yeah, it's literally only $1.83 per month, and you get like a few extra months for free at the end just because I guess Atlas is like a really solid VPN. Yeah, it kind of seems like our viewers could go and watch the Toho Godzilla movies whenever they wanted.
Died. You distracted me and now I'm dead. Get out of it. Go.
Back in 1962, after the massive success of King Kong vs. Godzilla, Toho was fired up to get right into the next big production starring Godzilla. Just as with the MonsterVerse, where they are now making multiple shows and a follow-up movie after the success of Godzilla vs. Kong. Toho had wanted to use the momentum gained from King Kong vs. Godzilla and make a direct sequel to the film. Them fighting once worked, why not do it again? So Shinichi Sekizawa was hired on to write an early screenplay for the movie, which was only ever known as, get this, Continuation King Kong vs. Godzilla. Imagine if the MonsterVerse came out and finally named their new movie Continuation Godzilla vs. Kong. And actually no one would probably care. Might actually happen the way things are going. But hopefully the new MonsterVerse movie hasn't been going through production hell like what happened to the sequel of King Kong vs. Godzilla. Now there's not much information out there on this, but in a rather short amount of time, the Godzilla vs. Kong rematch was completely scrapped, and had its script morphed to fit another movie idea, Frankenstein vs. Godzilla. Hold on to your butts on this one, another movie that was also cancelled and then transformed into two other movies that did actually come out, Mothra vs. Godzilla and Frankenstein vs. Baragon. But let's go back to Continuation King Kong vs. Godzilla, the sequel we never saw, and discuss what would have been the plot for this cancelled film. Thanks to Wikizilla, the story would have gone something like this. After Godzilla and Kong's big battle, a plane carrying innocent travelers mysteriously crash lands somewhere deep in the heart of Africa. A search party is sent out to find if there are any survivors, and upon discovering the wreckage, the search party randomly stumbles into what looks like ruins of an ancient civilization. Here, a lone survivor, a child, is found, with none other but Kong guarding him. When the crew attempts to save the child, a giant monstrous scorpion suddenly appears and Kong rushes in to confront it. An epic battle plays out, which ends with Kong crushing the scorpion's body with a giant boulder. The distraction allowed the rescuers to grab the child, and then they quickly escaped via helicopter. Little did they know that Kong would not allow this to happen so easily, and he gave chase to the escaping humans. The story then would have flipped to Godzilla. According to what was wrote in early development, An amusement park was planned to be built and would have had its centerpiece attraction using Godzilla's lifeless body to draw in the crowds. Yes, the sequel to King Kong vs. Godzilla was going to make it very clear that Kong was, in fact, the true victor in their first ever battle. The sequel's story would have had the G-Man's body being found by a diver in the Sagami Bay, perfectly preserved thanks to the low temperatures found in the water in that region. After experts confirmed that Godzilla was indeed not breathing, the lifeless body was tranquilized for good measure, can never be too safe, and was then shipped to the park's destination. Going back to Kong now. The child who got rescued was adopted by one of the rescuers and their family, and they attempted to have normal lives. But they didn't know that Kong never gave up in his pursuit of the child. The ape made it all the way to the Taiwan Strait, before coming across a passenger ship. Without reasoning, Kong grabs the ship and shakes it violently, with the passengers inside being brutally beaten and thrown all around. Right after this, an American naval destroyer fires upon Kong, but the weapons had little effect and Kong simply smashed the ship to pieces before leaving the vicinity in a hurry. Next, the story would have gone back to the amusement park and Godzilla's body. Here, a bomb is detonated beside Godzilla in an attempt to jumpstart his heart by a rival amusement park company in some sort of an attempt at sabotage. Miraculously, it worked, but only for a split moment as Godzilla's heart once again came to a stop shortly after it started up again. Back to Kong now. The ape was in full-on attack mode and was destroying almost any human structure he came in contact with. In an attempt to stop Kong, the JSDF, otherwise known as Japan's Self-Defense Force, detonates rockets carrying the same substance from the red berries that enabled Kong to be captured in the first movie, but this time, a bit of bad luck happens and a gust of wind pushes the red berry gas away from Kong and directly onto the human soldiers, causing them all to pass out. Deciding it was the only thing they could do to stop Kong, the JSDF then would attempt to revive Godzilla, but were simply not capable of forcing enough of an electric current into Godzilla's heart to jumpstart it. Kong now made his way all the way to the location of Godzilla's lifeless body, and in his attempt to shoo off all the humans in the vicinity, he inadvertently sent his new electrical powers into Godzilla and, you guessed it, juiced the G-Man up enough to bring the king of the monsters back to life, and this time for good. Sounds familiar, right? Their fight was yet again at hand. The story goes that Godzilla quickly would have landed a tail whip on Kong, knocking him down, and then followed it up with an atomic blast before the ape could recover. The battle was supposed to go on for some time until the two once again had a draw, and both agreed to mutually call it quits after a good day's work of monster carnage. In the monster's break time, the JSDF lure Kong away using the child he's obsessed with, and they managed to do something similar with Godzilla, in which they were going to lure him out to sea using a replica of Kong. Believe it or not, this actually worked, and Godzilla quickly chased the decoy down and upon attacking it, realizes that it wasn't the real thing and that it was actually a weapon. The decoy then explodes and Godzilla disappears. This would lead to the climactic finale of the sequel. No one would accept the family and child who Kong was obsessed with, all fearing that it would only lead to Kong coming for them next. As the group attempts to stay isolated, Kong finally catches up to them when Godzilla abruptly reveals himself yet again, proving the Kong decoy bomb had failed. And he then blocked the road the humans were attempting to flee on. As they get out to run away on foot, Kong arrives, and their alpha battle would continue on. The two giants battling would have then caused the local volcano in the area to erupt, sending magma in all directions. After the young child would have been saved, the movie would have ended with both Godzilla and Kong being consumed by the volcano's eruption, with their fates being yet again unknown. And that's how it would have ended. So this deleted sequel would have had plenty of epic fights between Kong and Godzilla. It may have been a decent watch, so it's a bit of a shame that it never came to be. Although with the confirmation of Godzilla losing the iconic battle of the first movie being confirmed in this sequel, it was probably for the best to avoid any fan outrage from what I've seen on the internet. Another Godzilla vs. Kong was attempted by Toho in the 1990s, but due to Kong's problematic rights at that time, it wasn't until Godzilla vs. Kong where we finally got to see the two King of the Monster movies face off again. So what do you think of this cancelled film's plot? Would you have been okay with it? Are you happy it never came to be? Let me know in the comments. And for more videos like this where we uncover forgotten history from Godzilla and Kong's and really anybody else's past, like this video, leave a comment and share it around to let more monster fans know about it. As always, this has been Jacob, and I will see you in the next one.